I commented on this post and I was basically like, this is what plagiarism is called. And someone said, oh, I bet you can't find like the actual tweets. And so I'm so fucking petty and stubborn. I went and I was like, there's only 4 tweets. It shouldn't be that hard to find. And like Twitter's pretty searchable too. Like all you have to do is just
Yeah,
know the username, know what the tweet is, and then you can fully find every post.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah, let me
That's hilarious. Wow, you're sleuthing around like
I
a.
was sleuthing it.
I like it. I
So this
like it.
was see like can you find every Twitter post? And then I link all of them. Oh, video just started playing. Literally 2023. Like how do you I'd never seen someone be able to actually like manipulate this. This is rock solid. Same with this one. Like they're all just right there.
Wow.
So unless you can manipulate that, which as far as I know you can't, it's pretty like undeniable that he just jacked those, or whoever like he writes with just jacked those. Because if that were like a roast battle or a battle rap, like that would be inexcusable. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the last recording either. Like I went to, because I bank record all my episodes, right? And then I just went to go edit ours and the video was just completely unusable. Like it was just a blur. I don't know if it was just bad internet connection that day or what was happening, but
you looked fine on my end, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so weird. But almost like it's almost better that we waited a little bit and like redid it, because I feel like enough time has passed from the the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef that people are starting to not like the Not Like Us song anymore. I don't know if you saw
not like us anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw there was like there was a video that came out of I think the Olympic basketball game. It was like Team America and they were playing the song in the background and Steph Curry just looks at LeBron and he's like, man, I'm so sick of this song. He's like,
That's hilarious.
there's more songs than this in America. Like, come on, like play something else at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty popular, and like I don't know. Are we on here? Are we getting right into it?
Yeah, we'll just throw
Okay,
it. We'll just go
cool.
right into it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of the weird things that I thought about that song is like it's a summer dance song, which is cool, and it definitely like makes me want to move my body, but it's like I don't feel like it's not a rap beef beat. I feel like Kendrick was trying to turn it into something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then on top of that, I saw, and I verified all of the tweets as well. Like I went through and actually found them on Twitter, but somebody posted this. Can you see this on your screen?
Yeah.
So these are 4 of the verses from that song that were like the core tenets of that song, basically.
Yeah.
What if Drake was called the 6ix9ine God? And these are also tweets, and you can see that they're time stamped. So this was from 2023, 2016, 2021, 2021.
What?
And so like he didn't even come up with them. He just jacked them off of Twitter, which is so insane.
Who's the guy? Who's Michael?
I don't know. I just some random person on Twitter. Like I went and you can find, but then people were saying that you can alter timestamps, which I didn't know that. I didn't know that you can alter, which kind of defeats the purpose of a timestamp if you can just alter a timestamp on Twitter.
Yeah, 100%. Unless you're just doing like Photoshop doctoring or something.
Photoshop doctoring, totally that makes sense. Like, but you can actually go to the tweet itself, and I wonder if I go back here. You can go to the tweet itself and it has the timestamp on the tweet, because I commented on this post and I was basically like, this is what plagiarism is called. And someone said, oh, I bet you can't find like the actual tweets. And so I'm so fucking petty and stubborn. I went and I was like, there's only 4 tweets. It shouldn't be that hard to find. And like Twitter's pretty searchable too. Like all you have to do is just know the username, know what the tweet is, and then you can fully find every post.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, let me.
That's hilarious. Wow, you're sleuthing around like
I was sleuthing it.
I like it.
So this was see, like, can you find every Twitter post? And then I link all of them. Oh, video just started playing. Literally 2023. Like, how do you? I'd never seen someone be
Wow.
able to actually like manipulate this. This is rock solid. Same with this one. Like they're all just right there. So
Wow.
unless you can manipulate that, which as far as I know you can't, it's pretty
Yeah.
like undeniable that he just jacked those, or whoever like he writes with just jacked those. Because
For sure.
if that were like a roast battle or a battle rap, like that would be inexcusable. Like if you talk to anybody
Yeah.
who's a battle rapper and that's what they do, they don't even really like make music, they just battle rap. That's all
Yeah.
like pretty faux pas to just go on Twitter and jack. That'd be like a comedian like doing a bit, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's a meme. I've literally seen that meme. You're just taking the meme as your punchline, which does happen, but it doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah. It's called radio DJs. Uh,
No. Yeah, I guess
but no,
like
you're right.
that's
And
pretty
I
inconsequential though
do.
if you're a radio DJ. That's like it's like, well,
Yeah. But it should be. I mean, they're still plagiarizing all the
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
So it's the real problem. But yeah, you're right. It is like comedy in that way where it's like, yeah, if you're going to make, again, like if you're a top 40 pop guy, whatever. But yeah, like you would think that like a rat beef, those words would be, they would have a little bit more meaning than to just rip them off of Twitter, right?
Yeah, like something just a little more like even Drake's lines, like his short jokes. I think one or two of them is fine, but he just did too many, and that just tells me that like you're just getting lazy sort of with the writing. Like there's okay,
Yeah.
you hit that already. Like go on to something else. There's always something else that you can like go on to.
Well, and it's like I was saying last time we chatted. I mean, I think these guys really love each other on
Sure,
a
yeah,
deep
yeah. It's
level. It's
100%
insane, right? Like,
promotional.
yeah, well, Eric Clapton wrote one song about Patty Boyd and she married him. These
Yeah.
guys wrote 4 songs about each other in 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is not a
That's
rap beef, it's a honeymoon. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. That's a woman's dream.
Dude, it's like obsession level. They're obsessed with each other. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but then
I'm like, I don't even know that much about my friends. They know that much about each other. You're like, what the fuck?
yeah. Do you watch What's the Dirt? That guy on YouTube? What's the
No.
Dirt?
What's that?
He's really good. He kind of just exclusively covers like not necessarily rap beef, but like rap drama and all that kind of
Mm,
thing. And he's kind of doing like what you did on Twitter, like deep dives, sleuthing around, like building like really convincing cases with really solid arguments and timestamps, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, yeah.
And so, I mean, this has been like pretty big for him, but he doesn't just fire it out like 24 hours later. He'll take like weeks sometimes to make a video, but when it comes out, it's just like solid. It's like a documentary about it. But
Yeah.
if you're coming across that kind of Twitter stuff, like I wonder what kind of stuff he's gonna find on
Oh,
this.
yeah, for sure. If you dig deep enough, the thing that I like too about Facebook's algorithm is it will just serve this stuff up to you. Like it's just like, hey, here's this. Like
Yeah,
if you start, what you have to be careful with, like if you start leaning too far one way,
yeah,
it'll just give you more of that. And whether you're hating on it or appreciating it, it'll give you way more of that too, right? Um, but the one thing that's like so just annoying, and I feel like at a certain point, and we kind of poked fun at it on in our last podcast that didn't get to air of being like, oh, here's two white guys talking about like hip
yeah,
hop beef, like ho ho ho, but people started like using that as a defense to like diffuse my arguments in that Facebook
yeah,
post where I'm like, that's a pretty weak defense. If your defense is like the guy who's bringing the evidence is white, so he doesn't know anything, but it's like, I think we're past that at this point. I think hip hop's been around long enough at this point where it's no longer just like a race-based like exclusionary art form. When you have like people praising Eminem or all of these other like different backgrounds of artists, like I just watched the sickest music video today and it was like a rapper from India. Like it's gone beyond just like that. And to exclude so much, like if we were having an argument about folk music, I wouldn't take a black guy's argument and be like, well, you can't say anything about this because you're black.
Yeah,
That's horrible. That sounds like insane. So why does it not work this way as well, you know?
absolutely. Like if an argument is good, it's going to transcend like
Yeah.
color, right?
Could you imagine if we did that in like a courtroom?
No, it's crazy.
Like,
Well, it's an old there's an old Latin term called an ad hominem attack, and that's what it is. You're just attacking the person and not the argument.
mhm,
But
mhm.
it's a fallacy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of one thing that I really don't. Again, like the whole race thing. I understand there's a bigger racial context to all this and to hip hop in general, but also like when Kendrick is telling Drake he can't say the N word, like to me that seems silly. Again, I don't have any like skin in the game whatsoever. Like
Yeah.
whatever, it's not
See
my
that?
issue.
That right
But
there though, that's a race exclusionary argument.
yeah,
When it comes to that stuff, like context of what's allowed to be said, that I'm perfectly fine being like that. I have no place in that argument.
mhm,
I'm not going to step out and be like, I think Drake should be able to say it. I have no place in that argument whatsoever. But like hip
yeah,
hop or rap music as a whole, come on.
yeah. By the way, we should let the audience place their bets on which one of us is going to say the N word first in this podcast. What's the over under on that, Johnny?
There's a click down timer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so funny.
No,
Never,
I agree
never in a
with you.
million years.
Yeah, and I don't. Again, I don't care either way. But like, I was thinking about that too, and it's like Kendrick's rationale is that like Drake, he's got a white mom and he grew up in a white school in Toronto. But
Hmm.
in my head, I'm like, you're a black kid that grew up in a white school in Toronto. You probably got called the N word more than anyone in Compton. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
and
and
with
not in a
like
friendly
malice
way.
attached to it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
with
exactly.
like
So it's
actual
like
hatred.
to say that he can't say that, that feels weird and exclusionary to me, right? And again,
Yeah,
I could give a hoot what Drake says or not, but that argument feels flawed to me.
yeah, yeah, and again, it's going back to what you're saying, attacking the person versus like the context
Yeah.
of the work itself. Like it
Yeah.
just doesn't make any sense.
And that's where like I guess battle like this is a rap beef, but there is elements of battle rap too, right? Like I know that
Hmm.
you're a fan of hip hop, and I'm sure you're very familiar with battle rap. I was a big King of the Dot head for a lot of years there, and I'm pretty
Yeah,
familiar with that. And Drake's been a big supporter of that throughout the years as well. And I think he gets battle rap culture more than Kendrick, at least from what I'm hearing in these songs. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah,
it's kind of a different game than just standard hip hop, right? Like battle rap, you don't get a beat at all. You don't get even a microphone. You're just going a cappella, face to face, mano a mano, and you got nothing but your wits and your words. And that's why I was kind of like saying, like, I feel like Kendrick's kind of trying to make it about something else. Like Drake's standing in the
hmm,
pocket, ready to throw,
hmm,
and it doesn't even matter that no one's on his side. It seems like he feels very comfortable in that position, and he's just like,
yeah,
yeah, well, are we doing this or not? Whereas Kendrick's like, no, 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 it's us versus them, and you guys are different, and you can't do
yeah,
that. It's
yeah,
like, it's not that it's like, I guess he's got some validity what he's saying, but to me, that's not really. I don't think of like a rap beef as that. I think of like a rap beef as like one on one,
yeah.
skills versus skills, not like who can make the best summer dance hit. You
Yeah.
know?
But I mean, like it's it goes to that Batman quote of you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, because he literally was the Drake being the one that brings these people into the spotlight, gives
Yeah,
them is featuring on songs that put them at number one spots, gives them a wider base than just their niche following,
yeah,
invites them into the city whenever they come, performs sometimes surprise performances, which he knows is going to be a bigger draw or people are expecting that to happen. He's doing nothing but like trying to, like, people use the term culture vulture, but I think there should be like a term of like give and take. Like if he's sharing what he has, being like fan base and awareness around his name or
yeah,
connections within the industry, in exchange for like you helping him with a new flow or whatever. I feel like that's just artistic exchange. I don't see it as like thievery. Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I gotta, I guess, do a little disclosure here. I don't really listen to either Kendrick or Drake's music very much. I've dabbled, I've tried to get into some of it. I don't, it's just whatever. It's not really my thing.
Yeah.
But as I was like diving into this like beef and like trying to explore more and stuff, that is a vibe that I picked up from Kendrick. And again, I think it goes back to that like exclusivity thing, like, oh, you're not the real hip hop, we're the real
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
And it's kind of weird, right? Like he literally like in one of the songs he calls them a colonist, a colonizer.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't call look, I'm an old man. I know I listened to hip hop in the 90s, but like if you're gonna rap beef someone, don't you want to be the colonizer? Like, don't you want to be the bad
Yeah.
guy who's like
Yeah,
exploiting the
yeah.
other person, taking all their money and resources? Like, isn't that
Yeah.
the whole point of the thing? Like Kendrick's on this like woke stuff. It
Yeah.
it just it feels strange to me. It feels
It
like
feels performance. Like it, and
yeah,
especially
yeah,
like Drake's whole argument of like you say you want to do these things, but you don't actually do these things. And that's
yeah.
where people should be like kind of going, "Mm." Like it's like he's almost like a politician. Like he's like rapping about, how he wants to help people in Compton, but is he ever there? Oh, he's there when he wants to film like a music video and needs them almost as like toys behind him, like to make it look like I'm still in touch with my roots. But we all know he's going back to a mansion in Beverly Hills or wherever the fuck, or like he's going out of that neighborhood. He's not living in Compton.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I don't know anything about like his lifestyle or his finance, obviously. But I hear what you're saying, and it's like, um,
That shit bugs me the most. It's like politicians literally saying, "I'm just like you," and you're like, "No, you're not. You're not."
well, to me, he's calling out Drake for basically just being like shallow and commercialized and like just being about
Sure.
champagne and bitches. But like, I strongly feel that Kendrick is also about champagne and bitches.
Yeah,
He's just
yeah,
like he just talks about it in like differently on wax, but then he goes out
yeah,
and lives the same lifestyle. Whereas like Drake will tell you he's about champagne and bitches, and then he goes out and does it. So it's like
yeah.
at
hundred
least he's
percent.
not a fucking hypocrite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was my gripe too. Is like is it's nothing to do with like, oh, Drake's Canadian, so I'm immediately side with that. It's like, no, this guy tells you he's a piece of shit and then does piece of shit things. You know what I mean? Like
And I
lives in a
respect that.
and I respect that. I respect an honest person, like
Yeah.
versus somebody who's like, I'm gonna save the neighborhood and then, gets out of there.
I know.
I
You know. I was thinking today. Did you watch The Simpsons growing up, or still, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah?
haven't
So
it's been a while since I've watched an episode, but
do you remember when Lisa, it was summer vacation and she made all those friends at the beach and she was trying to act like cool, but like they
yeah,
could kind
yeah.
of smell on her that she wasn't. She was like whatever, and she's trying to like fit in. I feel like that's Kendrick Lamar sometimes. Like he's just saying things that he thinks people will think are cool. Like even
Yeah,
that song
yeah.
about like drinking, like pool full of liquor, and then you dive in. It's like, have you ever heard someone who drinks say something like that? It just feels strange, you know?
Yeah, just I wish I had a pool full of liquor that I could dive into. It's like,
It's like when the was it 40-year-old virgin and he's like describing what a breast feels like, and they're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
you ever touched a breast, dude?
You're
It's
like, I
like,
don't think this guy's ever touched a boob in his life.
yeah, yeah.
Oh no.
Anyway, I'm talking a lot of shit about Kendrick Lamar. He's very talented, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're both
I
extremely talented. We have no place in anything
but it's a
talking
rap
about them.
beef. We're gonna talk some shit. That's what it's all
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
I came
yeah.
here to talk some shit, Johnny.
Yeah. I feel like I think Eminem even touched on that too in his like Coup de Grace album where he was like rapping from the perspective of a hater of just being like I think he sort of took Kendrick's side in a little bit of just saying, like the line was something to like, oh, Kendrick like hasn't put out anything good. Like, it's yeah, we get it. Like you're all artists, but like that's what comes with being like at the top of your game is, there's UFC fighters like that too, where they could literally kill you with one hand, but people will still be like, you suck. It's like, no, they're still an elite level fighter, but like that's what happens when you get to
Of
the
course.
professional level. You have to be ready for like all kinds of judgments from people who could never walk a day in your shoes. Like I know that. I'm not like ignorant to that fact, but it's still fun to like talk shit about it. It's like sports for, music fans.
For sure. And I that's not lost on me either. But again, it's like if you didn't want people to talk this way, you wouldn't have released the diss tracks in the first place, right? Like
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
the
yeah.
whole point. It stirs up conversations, it stirs up debate. There's a whole cottage industry, mostly on the internet, on fucking,
Yeah.
blogs and YouTube channels and shit. But like everybody was talking about this for a really long time, and they still are. But actually, I saw 50 Cent is looking. I don't know if you saw his post, but he was with Drake, and they're maybe brainstorming some TV or film ideas. Which I mean, you tell me he's not going to make $1 billion off of
Oh,
that. What it ends up being.
yeah, 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 for sure. 50
Yeah,
Cent too is like investing heavily into the movie industry as well. He's built like a brand new, like massive like studio space for his like I think he has like a production company or something. He's already like created and sold like a P. Diddy documentary, which I think
that's
this whole
right.
rap beef was just to get the heat off of P. Diddy because people sort of forgot about P. Diddy for a little bit. If you remember, that was like all over the internet, the crazy like stuff that was going on with him, his house getting raided and like people
Yeah,
making accusations. And then suddenly
yeah,
everyone's talking about Drake and Kendrick. You're like, hmm.
yeah. And then Puffy went whitewater rafting.
Yeah,
But yeah, he does. It doesn't look good for Puff.
yeah. Uh-uh.
I call him Puff. I'm from the '90s.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's just like we're just waiting on court dates at this point because yeah, it was all
Mm,
over the media when it all happened, and then like I have to assume there's going to be some kind of trial at some point where it probably
yeah.
pop up,
I would also
right?
think too, if it was anything serious, he would have been like arrested, Like they
Yeah,
had him on the tarmac. They had him they know where he is. Like they had him multiple places. The federal authorities at least knew where he was, and they arrested like his assistant or something for like possession of cocaine, something
yeah.
small like that, and fined him. But then they didn't touch P. Diddy. So it's like I don't know if they have anything rock solid or if they're just waiting for a court date.
Here's a question for you: do you think it'll ever be okay to be gay in hip hop?
Ooh,
Speaking of
well, Lil
Puff
Nas
Daddy.
X,
True, true. But okay,
you
for
know?
example, like specifically like with Diddy, right? Like he's had a couple people come out who are men
Yeah.
talking about sexual relationships, and he hasn't even acknowledged it to my knowledge at all, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, he's not. That would be the move, As long as you
Well,
didn't do anything illegal to just
yeah,
come out and just own it. If anyone could come out and own it, it would be, Puff. Like if he were to do it in a way where you're kind of like, okay, geez, like don't bring it up around him. Like he's edgy about it, whatever. Like
yeah,
he's still in a person that's in a position of power. Like I think
yeah.
he's the one that he could make it so that like because I heard rumors also of like Soldier Boy maybe might have a little sugar in the tank also, but it's so like not even just in hip hop but just in black culture like it's so you don't want to do that like it's against everything that they stand for. I don't know. I don't know what you know what I mean like they're not cool with it. That's all I'll say. Like it's not
It's a strange dynamic, right? And I think you're right. I think it's gonna take somebody of a stature like Diddy to actually
yeah.
come out before people really start to take it seriously or whatever, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, it's interesting, I kind of felt like it would have been cool if he did it because it probably would have, but it's still like that taboo, and they're the first person's still gonna take the heat, and that's a scary
Yeah,
position.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, especially when you're like treading territory like that that's never been gone through before. Like Lil Nas X came out and was like, "Hey, I'm Lil Nas X and I'm gay as fuck. Like here's everything," and people just kind of
Yeah,
went, "Okay," like they just
yeah, he was never
accept.
not. He was
He was
never not gay.
never pretending to be anything else, so
Yeah,
it didn't
exactly.
matter at all. But there's something funny about that, about people who are worried what people are going to think. It's like they get more heat than someone who just comes out and is gay.
It's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, but again, like Puff's he's been at it for decades, right? So like,
Yeah.
and the gay acceptance has come so far since the 90s when he started, right? That he's kind of entrenched an image for himself right now, like
Hmm.
firmly. Actually, yeah, Aaron Berg, the comic,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
he had one of the best tweets of all, and this stuff started coming out. He's like, huh, Puff Daddy's gay. That really explains popular music from the 90s and 2000s. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
And
like
it
JoJo Siwa did an interview. I think she was like Howard Stern or something, and she said like, there's all these different genres, subgenres of pop, but there's no like gay pop, like where it's like clearly like this is gay music. And I just commented, all pop is gay pop.
all pop is gay for
What are you
sure.
talking about? What are we doing here? All
Pop is
pop is
gay.
gay pop. Like it's
Absolutely.
interchangeable.
Yes, absolutely. Um ah
There's
Forgot
no
what I was gonna
lesbian pop if you want to make that.
say. Yeah, but it's that strange, like it's a very fine line sometimes, right? Like, because it's also like Snoop can go out and get a manicure and it's cool as shit.
Mhm.
But it's like, to me, I associate like what would you call it? Whatever, grooming,
Self-care.
self-care, people who like express
You go to
emotions, like they're
therapy?
gay. No,
Gay.
but there is that dichotomy. And like Puff in the 90s, every music video was flashy and glitter and just like
And
over the
women, like it was
top. Like,
always like women, women, women. You know what I mean? Like he like
yeah,
overcompensating a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting line that gets walked sometimes. But anyway, I do kind of feel like I hope that even if he doesn't come out and out himself, that even just these stories being in the national media
Yeah.
will kind of help to sort of like poke through that huge wall of just like impenetrable stigma, right? Like it's
Yeah. Maybe it
I don't
might
know.
take something like somebody outside of the industry, or even like somebody who's passed. Like what if it came out that like Tupac was actually gay? Would that be enough to make people go, "Oh, okay, well, if Tupac was gay and he's not around anymore, but like that's setting a precedent." You know what I mean? Like there needs to be like a precedent set where
Yeah,
it's like that person's not going to get any heat for it, not going to care because they're dead, but like new information comes forward. I don't know
yeah,
how, you know,
yeah,
an old
yeah,
diary or something comes up. Like, I don't know how you do it,
yeah.
but
Well, I mean, Pac too, right? I'm a huge Tupac fan, but like he had some like there's some gayness,
he was a theater kid. Yeah, yeah.
for
People
lack
think
of a
he was
better
a
term. Like,
gangster, but he was literally a theater kid.
and he had some poems that were like talking about like secret loves and stuff that like I don't know what obviously like who knows what someone was actually thinking about when they write a poem, but
Sure,
like
yeah,
if it like you could definitely interpret it as being like
yeah. I love
really
like
gay.
speculating. This is the Wendy Williams show all of a sudden.
Yeah, this really took
Yeah,
a turn.
yeah, they're gay. Just keep popping it. Uh,
Yeah.
did we want? I can't remember what did we say. Like the one word for your episode was going to be beef, or do you have a different word that like comes to mind for you? Because that's
I think
a
I think beef is good. I think I was
beef is
gonna be
good.
battle, but I think I like beef
Mm,
more. Beef
yeah,
works. I
yeah,
had beef for dinner, so that's works on many levels.
nice.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Kendrick, he's an interesting one. By the way, I want to shout out. Speaking of King of the Dot earlier, I want to shout out Cheddar Cheese because even before that tweet about the A minor, Kendrick's big,
Yeah, yeah.
bang one liner A minor. I saw Cheddar Cheese do something very similar back in King of the Dot, like
It's been around for
16
so
years
long.
ago,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's
That's what
just
everybody was saying.
I don't feel like he really got the recognition for that. So it's like Yeah, shout out to Cheddar and King of the Dot.
I used to love watching King of the Dot. It was trippy. My buddy Sean, he does like a lot of videographer work for like rap battles, whether it's like coming to Ottawa and doing it for them here or the different circuits. But he knows a lot of the people within King of the Dot, so it was cool like getting to hear like stories and stuff too of like, oh yeah, like I was hanging out with Roan, or like he knows like all these people behind the scenes, and he's like, I think you
Yeah,
guys would get along. And I'm like, oh, that's so sick, because
yeah.
you're so used to just like watching it there. And I remember I went with him to one in Ottawa. We should go the next time that there's one.
Yeah, I'm
It's
into it.
so much fun, man. Like, have you been to a live event before?
No, never.
It's amazing. So it's literally just a party. Like everyone's like drinking and talking and socializing and walking around. And then they're like, okay, first battle. It's people, and then it gets all quiet and serious. People like they line up, everybody gets around them, and then they basically scream at each other for their allotted amount of time. And they're like, all right, cut, everybody back to partying. And it just goes like that. Like when
No
you watch
kidding,
it
eh?
on YouTube, you're like, whoa, this is such like a hostile environment. Like I couldn't
Yeah,
imagine
yeah,
being there. But literally,
yeah.
that's like such a small portion of the night. It's so funny.
Oh, that's interesting. That sounds awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should do that. I used to have a, well, I still do have a bit. It's never really worked, but I think part of it is because like people aren't as big of a battle rap fan as me, so they don't really have the context for it. But I was kind of talking about like similar to like, you know, like sort of what would you call it? Subliminal gayness in hip hop. There's like a real feminine element I find to battle rap, ironically,
Yeah.
right? Like it's all these dudes getting decked out in their best jewelry, you know what I mean? Like wearing mink coats.
Yeah.
And then they'll just try to like hurt each other's feelings with insults, you know what I mean? Like bring up stuff they did from 7 years ago. It's
Literally like
like what's the biggest
yeah,
Trump move you could do in battle rap? I'm going to stay at my sister's, you know? It's
yeah. Yeah, you just have to think like an ex-girlfriend that's complaining about, her ex. And then literally that's like battle rapping.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole thing is so gossipy, and we're totally part of it right now. But it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
it's
yeah,
high school
100%.
gossip again, right? Like that's
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
is. Like we're around the campfire at a high school party, just talking
But
shit. Like
man, when someone can put together like such good wordplay, like I love just watching like Sharon from
oh yeah,
Ottawa.
yeah,
Just unbelievable. And like his ability to do it so in the moment of like seeing stuff in the room, whatever someone's wearing in front of them, and just tearing them apart. And it's like something that you could tell he had in him from so long. Like there was like a video of him doing it as like a kid in like a cafeteria. You know what I mean? Like this guy's been
yeah,
doing it since he was
yeah,
like 14, 15, ever since 8 Mile came out. Let's just say that.
yeah.
And probably exploded the battle rap scene from where it was before. Like I would have loved to see fan base prior to that movie and then after that movie, the amount of people that wanted to
Sure.
find their local or starting a local battle rap scene.
Yeah, for sure. And like Sharon talks about this too, so I'm not like talking shit, but like I think he's like on the spectrum a little bit too, which
Yeah,
helps
yeah.
I think, his ability to just craft. Like he's just got a brilliant mind that can, like you say, in real time. Like his rebuttals are often my favorite parts of the whole battle, right? Like, you know, they'll spend weeks writing for a certain event. And
Yeah.
those are great, but then the guy will say something and he'll respond to it within 15 seconds. And it's like one of the best lines of the
Yeah.
entire night. Holy fuck, like this guy is just incredible.
Yeah. He just has that gift of gab in a way where he can just sort of pull it from, some people are left speechless, like they don't know what to say. They're just overthinking it. It's like
Yeah,
he doesn't even have that gear of like
yeah,
sitting in it to overthink it for too long. It's just straight into whatever's coming out of my mouth is going to be the best thing.
yeah. And he always throws in like MMA analogies too, and some like sports and stuff. Like he's got all these different worlds that he's
Mm-hmm.
really knowledgeable about and well versed in, and then he just like mixes it all up into this just like
Yeah.
tornado of destruction. It's
I feel like a lot of battle rappers would be like good comedians as well because
I think so too.
there's a writing aspect there,
Yeah,
there's like a punchline aspect.
yeah,
It would just be a matter of like getting them out of like needing to sound like they're singing every word, like they do it
yeah.
almost too rhythmically, and you don't want to be like a comedian that's like rhyming everything you say, like it just doesn't translate.
Yeah, for sure. There was a few. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but I'm thinking of one guy in particular, kind of like a portly fellow back in the day, and he was basically just a comedian, right? Like, and that was his big criticism, was that like everyone just thought he would use comedy as like a crutch or whatever, or like that was just his shtick. But I was like, this guy's a goddamn genius, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then if you look, like, it reminds me of like the stories and the footage of like old school Patrice O'Neill, right? Who would just eviscerate someone like upon sight. He just had that instantaneous, I can look at you and just
Yeah, yeah.
find all your weakest points in 2.2 seconds and then just throw them out brilliantly. And I think that would, yeah, that's battle rap too, right? Like it's all kind of one and the same at a certain point.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like that sort of being around that sort of I've said this before, but we need almost more Patrice like people in Canada because if you look at a scene like the New York City comedy scene, I think the reason why the reason why they're all so elite is because the amount of stage time that's offered to them, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like there's so much stage time. Obviously, that's a part of it, but I think another part of it is like there's so many people that won't let you get away with shit. Like there's people that will just are not afraid to call you out, make fun of you, like rip on something you said or a way you said it, and that sort of critiquing can be so good at like fine tuning whatever it is you're doing, whether it's stand up or battle rap or singing or anything like that. Um, like, have you?
100%. And sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
No, 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 no. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say Ottawa gets a rep of being like such a supportive community and like
Yeah,
kind of helpful people. And I think, yeah, I think you're right. Like in some ways that can work against you. I mean, you don't, not saying we need assholes just for the sake of assholes, but you're
no,
right. I mean, if it is ultimately something that's like true, then it's really
that's
helpful to hear that. And if you're just surrounded by friends who are too afraid to say that,
yeah,
that's why like I found value in just I've done a few roast battles, I guess, as a comedian, and like that's kind of valuable information because I just feel like that's all the stuff that like people just always think about, but they don't tell you to your face.
yeah,
But
but it's
then in the
giving them an
roast battles, like,
excuse.
yeah, you just get it all in one hot little package,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Slap across the face, and then you can just choose to deal with it how you want. But it is valuable information, right?
yeah, 100%. And like, there's nothing worse than maybe it was a bad set, but everybody's like, "Oh, that was great,
Oh,
so
it's the
good." You're
worst.
like, "Shut up!" Like,
Shout out to Rebecca Reeds, very funny comedian, from Ottawa, based in Toronto now. But I remember she told me one time, like, I stopped saying good set if it wasn't a good set years ago. And I was like,
yeah.
fucking A. And I've tried to follow that really hard. Occasionally I'll slip up,
I try not to
occasionally, or
pity laugh. Sometimes I
yeah, or
laugh just to
yeah,
feel the emptiness, and I'm like, I can't do
yeah.
that.
If it's like a
It has to
really
hit me.
bad, if like the comic looks like they might quit or like harm themselves, I'll say
Sure,
good set
sure.
maybe. But that's like that takes a lot for me to say that.
Yeah,
And most of the time I'm okay with just not saying anything or whatever. And I hope people are okay
yeah,
uh doing that to me too, right? I know I typically have a pretty good sense of when I don't do well, and I try
yeah,
to not bullshit myself about that. I'll try to watch tape and or at the very least listen to audio.
yeah.
Because again, that is the most important information. If you're trying to get better, you do need to know what's not working and how you
A
might
hundred
go about
percent.
fixing
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
And like Rebecca Reeves, you brought her up the last time I performed. I think it was at Laugh Lounge or something when she was headlining. And she was like, oh, like great writing, like it's really tight. And I'm like, that's a compliment that's like great because it's specific, right? You know,
Yeah,
oh, okay, my writing on those jokes is great. I'm not gonna like fuck with it anymore. Maybe I can look at how I'm performing them and tweak that a little bit or see if I can make that more interesting or whatever it is, right?
yeah, 100%. Or if someone compliments a specific joke, then they're not
Yeah.
just it's not just some generic
They're not
bullshit,
just
right?
saying good set, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
tired of that shit. Just good set.
It can be a lot, yeah. And it's like I know that I think Ottawa's tried kind of prided itself on that a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with a little bit of
Yeah. A little bit of support.
less niceties here and there goes a long way, I think, you know.
Yeah. I'll never forget. I was in Toronto and JJ Lieberman asked me if I wanted to do the think it was like South by Southwest or North, whatever, one of those festivals. It's like a street festival where they have basically like a tent set up and there's comedy happening in one of the tents. And I did my set, and then after like half the audience just left. They didn't leave because I was offensive. They just left. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
as I come to the back, he is dying laughing and he just keeps referring to me as Johnny Walker Ranger. And he just keeps saying that over and over again. I'm like, fuck off. He's like, you
That's
walked
amazing.
half my crowd.
That's super funny. I performed at Cultures Club in Ottawa there. I don't know if you've been there yet.
I haven't been there yet. No.
Yeah. Uh really nice spot. It's like it feels like like the kind of place that would be featured in a rap video. It's like high end, like kind of just dance club. Like it's the kind of when people talk about going clubbing, I picture them in a place like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
cool show, cool mic, but Serge was hosting, and I think he brought some friends, and he was barking and getting people in off the street too. And so we had like maybe like 12 people, and not that it matters at all, but I think there was maybe only like one or two white folks in the crowd, and I went bullet, and
Yeah.
as soon as I started talking, they just started having a conversation amongst themselves, and then like
Hilarious.
five people just got up and left, and I'm just like, oh,
Man, I don't
okay.
want
Like
his
I
white
don't,
bullshit.
yeah, like I don't want it to think that it's because I was white, and I don't think it was. I think it's because they were barked in off the street and they
Yeah,
just didn't
yeah, they
really know
didn't
what the
know.
hell they were getting into.
Especially if they didn't
But
pay a cover or anything, they're like, "Well, I don't
exactly.
need to stay here." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But in the moment, it sure felt like, holy fuck, I am just too white for these people.
That
Yeah,
is fucking jokes.
good.
Man, we're getting close to the end. I'm gonna ask you the question that I always ask all my guests.
Yeah,
You know, it's so most of the time when I have a guest on where it's all about like tell me about yourself, tell me about your life. But I feel like we knew that this was gonna happen. We were talking about the beef and music and stuff. So I'll have
yeah,
to have you even come back on and we can like dive into more of like who you are.
that'd be awesome.
But if you could give like a piece of advice to your younger self based on what you know now, what would you say?
Yeah, great question. I knew it in advance this time because we've already done it, and I'm
Yeah.
still gonna say the same answer, which is just start doing shit earlier, because it's like anything you have to do. Like if if you're young and you want to be whatever, you want to be a tap dancer or you want to be a theater performer or whatever, but you feel like you should be an accountant and maybe you go to school for accounting. It's like an intro level job is an intro level job. That's what I didn't understand. Even if you
Hmm.
go to school for accounting and you're going to be an accountant and that's all well and good, you're still going to start at the fucking bottom. It doesn't even matter if you have a diploma. You're still going to run and get coffee and just be the low person on the totem pole. So you might as well be the low person on the totem pole for something you actually want to do, because it's
Yeah.
going to take you like a good 10 years to really get established wherever you want to be and whatever you want to be doing. So I think I underestimated how long it would really take to get something off the ground in terms of like maybe more artistic endeavors. I do have aspirations of just I just want to move in the direction where like more of my income comes from art and
Hmm.
less from day job. And as long as I'm trending in that direction continuously, I'm happy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I should have started so much fucking earlier. I don't know. I didn't get it. I don't know.
I started at 19, man, and I still am like, I should have started earlier. I don't know if there's
No
ever
kidding.
I started doing comedy at 19, like I knew right away. But I fucked around so much of just trying to figure out like what my voice was that I never thought about like how do I monetize this? Like I've just focused solely on like doing the thing. And yeah, I firmly believe that if you just keep doing the things that make you happy, like no, you'll find a way to make money at it. Like
Just
it'll
keep
just happen.
just keep showing up. That's half the
Yeah,
battle.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Literally is that's exactly it.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's gonna suck, but it'll suck anywhere. So you might as well suck at something cool.
exactly. And
You know?
nothing is promised either. Like I watched my
That's right.
parents who had like concrete jobs for like X amount of years and they were at multiple points at risk of being laid off. And I'm like, okay, well then what's the point of going
What's the
for a
point?
job you hate when you might lose it anyways?
That's right.
I'd rather lose something that I was like gunning for. It's Aaron Hill 13 on Instagram for people watching on YouTube. Thank you. Hit that subscribe button. Aaron Hill 13 as well on X or Twitter, and Aaron Hill Endeavors on YouTube. Go watch the series that you put up here. Can't Be Accounts. A bunch of different clips that people can watch. Run those views up, and check out your music as well. Is it, if I click on Bandcamp here, I'll put all these links in the description below. Yeah, go buy Aaron's music, go support him any way that you can. And thanks for finding time to redo the episode. Let's hope that this time the video is fucking
We were just
good.
getting warmed up last time. This was awesome, man. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
yeah,
having me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, fun talk.
of course. All right, man. I'll see you out in the scene.
You bet. See you
All
later,
right.
bud.
Have a good night.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.